Alright, so let's get this thing started here. So I'm just going to enter the draft room here. So first off here, Chicago, I'm pretty much going to say here they're going to trade the first round pick, and they're going to trade it to Houston here because Houston is going to be very hungry and desperate to get their guy a quarterback. So they're going to make a trade for Chicago here to, get that pick. So let's make a trade here. So Chicago and where's Houston? So I'm just gonna have them do this here, because that's the easiest way to get that in. So we'll see here. Now with the first overall pick here, Houston is going to select. Let me make sure I get this here to work right. The first overall pick, they are gonna draft the quarterback from Alabama, Bryce Young. Okay. So Bryce Young is the first overall pick in this year's draft. Now Chicago here, they're at 2, but they're going to be a little more smarter, and they're going to make another trade here, I think. So Chicago is going to make a trade with Indianapolis. Alright, and Indianapolis is going to be trading their first round pick at 4 here to Chicago for the number 2 pick here. And they're also going to give a third round as well. Let's see, no, I guess I have to give a second. A second and a third here, because that's everything this ruling will allow. I think it'll just be a third, but that's what they're going to give up. And the Colts are going to draft C.J. Stroud, the quarterback out of Ohio State. And that's the pick. And now with the third overall pick here, Arizona, they're going to do something again here. Now they're going to make a trade, alright? Now, if you think this, why the heck there's so many trades, Joe? Why are you doing so many trades? Because there are a lot of teams that are quarterback hungry right now who are going to draft guys in this draft. And this next trade, because Arizona is willing to shop around, and I think they do. And they are going to make a deal here with the Carolina Panthers. So let's find Carolina here. And Arizona. And Carolina's going to trade the number 9 overall pick for the number 3 overall pick. And they're going to give up a second round pick and a third. And they're going to give up a third in 2024 as well to trade up. And with their pick, they are going to select quarterback Anthony Richardson out of Florida. And here's the thing I'm going to say about that. I think it's a horrible move, and I think he's going to be a bust. But Carolina, it seems to be really sold on him. He has a lot of great attributes. And if Carolina can technically develop him correctly, he could turn into something good. That's the thing I will say about him, Richardson, is if developed correctly, he will be something good. But that means he's got to sit a year or two, and he's got to learn. And he's got to be more consistent, because in Florida, he just didn't show he was very consistent. But, I can also see the point where people are making, saying, hey, people like Pat Mahomes, guys. Mahomes is awful in college. He's not the best quarterback in the league. I see where they're coming from, but I just don't know about that. But Carolina seems sold, and I think they trade up and draft him. And next up here, Chicago, and this time they're not going to trade it, and they're going to take Will Anderson Jr., and they're going to give themselves a stud in the pass rushing here, and they're going to help, definitely try to help themselves get better here as a team. And I think a guy like Anderson Jr. will help out massively. I think he is going to be a face of franchise at the edge position. He can help him out, especially, with, he is now a face of the franchise you can have as well with Justin Fields, and I think he's going to help out big time with that. So next up here we have Seattle, and they are going to go defense here, and they're going to draft Tyree Wilson, the edge rusher out of Texas Tech. And the next up here we have Detroit. I guess I'll just talk about Seattle for a second. I think they definitely need a good pass rusher. Tyree Wilson, he fits the box well. I like him there, and I think he is the pick. Now, next up here, I have the Detroit Lions. They're drafting 6, and I'm going to have them draft here. Where was he? There he is. I'm going to have him draft Myles Murphy, the edge rusher out of Clemson. He fits a lot of great boxes. He's a very well-rounded, talented player. And I think he will do well for them in this position here. I think definitely he can help be a great pass rusher duo with Aiden Hutchinson, and I think he's the right move right now. Because Jared Goff showed out that he can definitely still be a starting quarterback in the NFL. I like what he's done so far. Honestly, Jared Goff has in the second year. And I don't think there's a reason here to draft a quarterback. Honestly, if I'm Detroit, if you really need a quarterback next year, I'd think about trading up and getting one. Because I think that's a more talented quarterback class than this year's. Like, this year's has high names and stuff, but, like, it's not as talented as next year's, in my opinion. So, we'll definitely have to wait and see exactly what all happens there. But I don't think Detroit will take a quarterback. It just doesn't make any sense. I think an edge rusher like Myles Murphy helps him out big time here, and he's a great pickup, and he makes that Matt Stafford trade look like a fleecing. Well, actually, not a fleecing, because the Rams did win last year, but, it makes it a lot more even. Next up here, the Raiders here, and they're not taking Jalen Carter as much as, the Raiders love their criminals. They're not going to take him because they are sold on a quarterback, and that quarterback will be Will Levis. They're going to develop him for a year, probably, and hopefully he turns out into something good. After moving on from Derek Carr, they go out there and they get someone to help them out. And then next up here is the Atlanta Falcons, and I'm going to have them, honestly, right now here. I'm going to say they're going to take a D lineman because they need help defensively, and it will be Brian Brees. It's high for him to be picked, but that's where he's going to go, and I think that's what the move is going to be there. Because they're also looking for defensive help. That helps as well, so I think that's what the move they make. Now, Arizona here, definitely, I think on defense, they're missing a defensive lineman now from J.J. Watt retired, not T.J., J.J. So I am going to say here, they are going to draft Jalen Carter. They're going to take the risk here, and they are going to draft him. I think it's a questionable pick. I don't know if he'll turn out to be well. Like, he's got a lot of the talent, but a lot of the off-field issues are concerning. But I think Arizona does take the risk there, and that ends his falling. Because I don't think he's going to be first overall or in the top 5 right now. I just think there's too much concern there for us to really be like, yeah, I just don't think it's the best thing right now. So I think teams are going to hold off, but Arizona will take the risk because Arizona does that with players. Especially if you know Kyler Murray, they have done that in the past, and they're going to do it again in this draft. Now, next up here, the Eagles, with this pick, they're going to fill a hole with Miles Sanders leaving, and they're going to select Bijan Robinson, the running back out of Texas. This guy has a lot of great pedigree. I like what I see out of him. I think he can be a very good running back in the league. And this is going to make Philly's offense even more elite, and I think it's going to be a very good pickup for them. Next up here, you have the Tennessee Titans, and they are going to select here with their pick. I think they're going to go with right now here. They're going to go with someone who can help them out defensively on the ball because they need help defensively big time. And they're going to take Christian Gonzalez, the cornerback, out of Oregon. I think that's their best move right there. And yeah, I think that's going to help them out big time. Now, next up here, we have Houston again. And they're going to take an offensive lineman in Paris Johnson. They're looking for a big time tackle that helps out big time. And I like what I see of him. And I think that's the move they make. Now, next up here, we have the New York Jets. Picking 13, and they're going to get Sauce, a good number 2-man cornerback with Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois. That's going to be their pick. Continue to build off that great defense and have a great 1-2 punch at quarterback with Sauce. Next up here we have New England, and I think they're going to take a wide receiver here, and they're going to take Quentin Johnston, the wide receiver out of TCU. And next up here we have the Packers, and you think the Packers will take a wide receiver here, but I think they go a different direction. I think they go offensive line and get some youth in that position at tackle, and they're going to draft Peter Skoronski at 15 there because they're going to look a different way, and they're going to, get him here. And now next up here, I'm going to say here with Washington, what they really are going to be looking for is they're going to be looking for they're looking for a lot of things. But I think in general, they're going to be looking for something that I think, definitely I think a lot of positions here. Like we can see like Joey Porter's available, like Brian Brantz, Jordan Addison, Broderick Jones. There's all these great players here. But I think they're going to go offensive line here, and they're going to go Broderick Jones. So now this puts the Steelers in a very interesting position here because there's now no offensive line. talent really out there, so they're really not going to draft an offensive lineman with this pick, I don't think. They're not going to trade down, but what they are going to do here is something very interesting. I think right here of this pick, they are going to pretty much here get a cornerback in Joey Porter Jr. As much as I want a Jordan Addison reunion, I don't know if that's going to happen here. We'll have to wait and see, but I think Joey Porter Jr. is the pick for the Steelers here at 17. At 18, Detroit decides they're going to strike here and get themselves their next tight end, and they're going to get Michael Mayer, the tight end, out of Notre Dame to help out the offense. Now, next up here, Tampa Bay. What I think they're going to do is they are going to get an offensive lineman here. Pretty much, I think it's going to be O'Cyrus Torrence out of Florida. They needed help on their line big time this year. I think quarterback-wise, they're already out of range. I think they're going to sign someone to free agency. I feel like Jimmy Garoppolo is probably their best bet there. So they're going to go offensive line and help out with that horrendous offensive line last year with O'Cyrus Torrence. He isn't the best one out there, but for where they're at, that's what they can get. And then next up here, Seattle. I think they're going to go edge again. They're going to go Lucas Van Ness out of Iowa and try to solid up that defense even more here. And next up here, we got the Chargers. And they still need some help on defense. I think they're going to go cornerback with Keely Ringo out of Georgia. I think they're going to go cornerback again. This is a great class for cornerbacks. And I think that's what we're going to see here. And next up here, Baltimore. Here's what I'm going to say. They're going wide receiver here, but I don't think they're going Jordan Addison. I'm going to be honest with you here. He had a pretty bad combine. And I think with them, I think they more are going to have their sights on Jackson Smith-Njigba, the wide receiver out of Ohio State. So, yeah, that's where he's going to go right there. Smith-Njigba is going to be a Baltimore Raven. And with the next pick here of Minnesota is going to go for another edge rusher here. They need some help defensively. They're going to go Nolan Smith, the edge rusher out of Georgia. Now, next up here with Jacksonville, I think they may go wide receiver, but I think they're going to go more defense here. So I'm going to say they go with, right now, Brian Branch. They need some safety help. I think he clears that hole for them. And I think that's a good pick for them. And now next up here, we have the Giants. They're going to be looking wide receiver here. But I'm also going to say they're not getting Jordan Addison. Because he had a pretty bad combine. And people are starting to, and he had a slow season this year here. So I think there were some definite red flags. And a lot of people are very high on Jalen Hyatt. And I think that's who goes here. Honestly, I do agree. I'm also high on Jalen Hyatt as well, and that's who is going to get drafted right there. Now, next up here we have Dallas. But here's the thing, Dallas. I think they're going to trade this pick. I'm going to be bold here. They're going to trade the pick. And what is going to happen here is Dallas is going to make a trade with an AFC team. So let's find Dallas here. Oh, yeah, there you go. They're going to make one with a team who has a lot of capital to trade up. And that team is the Steelers. They are going to trade up here again to get another pick. So they're going to trade the 32nd pick for the 126th pick. And they will give up here a 2024 fourth round pick. And they will trade up here. And what they will do with this pick is going to be surprising. I think they decided to reunite Jordan Addison and Kenny Pickett. I think they decided to do that because I think he falls a decent amount to that position. And that's where he goes. But it's a very hard decision, but I think that's where they go offensively. But Khalid Kancey is also a possible there for the Steelers. Because I do think they trade up again to get another first-round pick. Because they're going to try to maximize what they can do this offseason. I think Dallas is a team that's willing to trade. And I think that's what's going to happen with that pick. And then next up here I have the Buffalo Bills. And you know what? They're going to go here. Let's find it here. Where was he? They're going to go running back here. And I think they're going to go Jamal Gibbs. I think they're going to try him because running back is one of their biggest, weaknesses. And they're once again going to trying to, rectify that weakness. But yeah, definitely very sincere. And then next up here, we have Cincinnati. And I'm going to say they're going to be missing a linebacker here because most likely Jermaine Pratt's leaving. I'm going to say they take Drew Sanders out of Arkansas. I think that's their pick. And, so the next up here we have New Orleans. And what they pick here is, I'm going to say not offensive line. I think they're going to go more defensively. But what's out here is interesting. I think most likely where they do go is they do go edge rusher because they'll probably lose another edge rusher. So I'm gonna say they get here. Where was he? If we find him here, there he is. BJ Ohawi out of LSU. That's who they're gonna pick with that pick, I think, because they're gonna want another edge rusher, and that's gonna help. And then next up here we got Philly. They are going to, I think, what they will do here. Now this is very interesting because they're going to lose some cornerbacks here. I think they take Cam Smith out of South Carolina. And now here we got here KC. And what they're going to do if they'll pick here is I think they're going to get no wide receiver because they got possibly Juju leaving. And they're going to take Zay Flowers out of Boston College with their pick. I think that's what's going to happen here. Now, lastly here, because we're only doing the first round here, we have Dallas. And who they're going to pick in their first round pick is they're going to get some cornerback help. And they're going to go Deontay Banks out of Maryland. So yeah, that pretty much will do it here for what the first round will be. Actually, you know what? We have a decent amount of time. I'm going to do the second round here because why not? Let's have a little fun. And Chicago, with their pick here, second round, they're going to go show up the O-line and get Anton Harrison, the offensive tackle, out of Oklahoma. And next up here we have Arizona, and what they're going to do here is they're going to get another linebacker to help out with Zaven. No, they're not going to go linebacker. They're going to go defensive line, Khalid Akonsi. He is going to go to Arizona. I think that's really... He did fall in my mock draft here. I think when we get closer, he'll be a higher first-round pick. For right now, he is going to kind of fall, but he had a great and very impressive, Combine walkout in Mississippi where he does land, because I think he will land in the first round. But right now, I have him as a second rounder, but I think he definitely goes up to the first round at some point here. And next up here we have Chicago. Number one again here, they have two now because they got Houston's. And what they're going to do here is they're going to go another offensive tackle. They're going to go Darnell White. They're going to show up that offensive line for Justin Fields to try to come out because they're building around Fields, and that's what you do. And next up here, the Los Angeles Rams, and with their first pick here, what they are going to do is they are going to draft Emmanuel Forbes, cornerback, out of Mississippi State. They need help cornerback-wise in the secondary. That's going to help big time, especially if they do trade Ramsey. They're going to need a cornerback. I like what he can do, and I think he can be a good pick for them. And next up here, we have Seattle. And what I'm going to say is this time they're going to go offense here. They're going to go offensive line. They're going to get Durant Jones, the offensive tackle out of Ohio State. Because I think they definitely want to get another tackle after, of course, getting crossed last year and show up that offensive line for Geno Smith because he is now, looks like, the guy, at least for the next 3 years after signing the contract. So, yeah, I think that's where they go. Las Vegas Raiders here with the second pick. They're going to get their new quarterback or weapon here. And where they are going to go, let's see what all is on the board as right now here. Because I think they're going to go an offense player, but we'll have to wait and see what's available. And looks like, to me, that's not much offensively available, like wide receiver-wise. And they're not going to do tight end because they're not, no tight end, I would say. So I think actually they worked on defense. My mistake. I didn't realize we didn't have any offensive players there. But they're going to go Trent Simpson, the linebacker out of Clemson. They like their Clemson guys, and I think that's who they're going to go out here. And then next up here, definitely, again, here we got Arizona again. And I'm going to say what they do here is Keon White, edge rusher from Georgia Tech. They're going to look, once again, to show up their defense. And that's who they pick for that pick. And hopefully he can be a guy who can make an impact for them. And next up here we have the Saints. And what they're going to do here is they have a lot of weaknesses, but right now there's some great tight ends. So I'm going to say they take a tight end here, and they're going to take Darnell Washington at tight end. I think that's going to be their pick. Because they definitely have some holes at tight end. And they're going to fill that offense, especially now if Derek Carr, they want to get him some more weapons. That's another weapon he can throw to. Now, next up, we have Tennessee. And with this pick here, I'm going to say they take here Isaiah Foskey out of Notre Dame. I know he's fallen a lot, but I think he is what the pick is going to be. In my opinion, I think that just really is the best one they can get. And now Cleveland here, with their pick, I'm going to have them here draft. Now, there's a lot of interesting pieces out here. But really, with them, I think they're gonna take a reach here. But I think this can be something that can really pay off for them. And they're gonna take Kayson Boutte, the wide receiver out of LSU. It's a big reach for them, but they need wide receiver help big time. They need a number 2 wide receiver to help Amari Cooper and complement Deshaun Watson. And I think Kayson Boutte right there is the best possible pick they can get. And that is who they draft for that pick, because they really need wide receiver help. Because other than Amari Cooper, like, it's not bad. It's kind of it's pretty much just mid. They need a second guy who's also very good. At least a star, possibly superstar level player to really get that offense really flying. Because they want to be top of the division now. Like, the Ravens have completely started to fall apart here. And you gotta worry, because the other two teams, the Steelers and the Bengals are already on the rise here. They've already made a Super Bowl and now the AFC Championship. They're nearly the kings of the AFC. And the Steelers as well, they are definitely moving up here. You can definitely tell they are trying to win. Like, they know they have their guy in Kenny Pickett, They have a lot of great young talent, George Pickens, Pat Freiermuth, Najee Harris on offense. And, I think 2 years from now, maybe even next year, this is one of the best offenses in the league. So, the Browns, you need to get in that arms race and compete here. And I think Kayson Boutte, with the wide receiver LSU, even though he's had some definite struggles, I think right here he's the best possible selection. And I think he can definitely help you in this offensive arms race in the AFC North that is going on right now. Next up here we have the Jets. And what they're going to do with their pick here is they're going to get themselves some safety help and go Antonio Johnson out of Texas A&M. I think that's a guy, because they want to definitely make sure that secondary is very, solid, especially if you have a guy like Sauce. You take advantage of that, and you try to get as much talent as you possibly can in there to even help out Sauce even more. And I think that's a pick right there that really does that. And next up here we have the Falcons. I'm going to have them right now taking another edge rusher here in Will McDonald IV out of Iowa State, not Ohio, Iowa State. I think that's really good because they want to shore that up some more. Next up here we have the Packers. They love drafting the wide receivers in the second round, and I'm going to say here, let's just see what wide receivers there are. I think out of these here, they take Marvin Mims. He's going to go a little higher than usual, but Green Bay loves the wide receivers in the second round, and I think that's what they do here. Next up here we have the New England Patriots, and what they're going to do here, they had a lot of injuries to the cornerbacks last year, and they're going to go, if no cornerback here, Clark Phillips III. I think that helps them out big time with their cornerback position, and it definitely gives them some help here. So the next up here we have Washington. Now this is a team that has a lot of needs, but I think they go offensive line here. So let's see what offensive line is out there. I think they go John Michael Schmitz here. I think actually that is probably what the pick is. If I'm honest with you, I think that actually is their pick. I know it's suggested, but I do think right there that's the pick. And next up here, I think we definitely have Detroit here, and I think they continue to build on that D-line, and they're going to go with the local guy, Macy Smith out of Michigan. I think they're going to continue to build off that, and that's what they're going to do. And now next up here, we have the Steelers, and this is a interesting thing to look at here, where exactly they go. There's a lot of places they can go here with this pick. But I have a feeling they're gonna go linebacker here. They're gonna draft Jack Campbell out of Iowa. They've been looking at him for a while here in the draft. I think that's linebacker's gonna be an area they need to address. But I do think they signed Tremaine Edmonds. But I think they get this guy for you, try to develop him like Highsmith. You know how they developed Highsmith, and then they probably do trade or cut Miles Jacks. I think Miles Jacks is only a 2-year deal, so he's a free agent at the end of next year. I think they get this guy here because I think there's a lot of great talent for him, and it'd be interesting to see what all they do with Campbell there, because I think he is definitely a good pick. And then next up here, Tampa Bay. I think what they do here, same thing here, a lot of things they can do, but I think they're gonna go cornerback because they're gonna probably lose James Dean. That's a big piece, and they're gonna go with Eli Ricks here out of Alabama. I think that's their pick, because they are going to need cornerback. So that's what I'm going to say they do here. Now, next up here, we have Miami. I'm going to say here, they're going to go... They need cornerback, but I don't think this... Actually, no, I think they will go cornerback with Tyreek Stevenson out of Miami. They do need cornerback. Byron Jones, I think he's retired, but now he's also going to face... It's confusing, but he's not going to be on the team anymore, and that's what they're going to go after here. And with with what Seattle does here of this pick is I think they're gonna go. This interesting, but this is gonna fall here because they definitely. I think their best bet right now is they're gonna go probably another pass rusher here, but they're gonna go more for the interior. And I think go Siaka Ika. I think that's how to say his name. The defensive lineman out of Baylor. I think that's their pick here. And then next up here we have Chicago. Once again, it's not much, but they are gonna look a wide receiver, and I think Josh Downs out of North Carolina is gonna be their pick. I don't think he's the best wide receiver out there, but they're gonna look at that, and I think that's what it's gonna be. Next up here we have Los Angeles Chargers, and I think honestly here, what they do is they definitely still need some help defensively. So I'm gonna say, and they may be losing Khalil Mack here, so I'm gonna say they take a project player in Derek Hall, the edge rusher out of Auburn. I think he's gonna be a project player, but if I'm possibly losing Khalil Mack, I think that's the move they do make. With Detroit here, their next pick, they've gone all D here to this point, but now they're going to go offensive line, and Cody Martz out of North Dakota State is going to be their guy here. That is what they're going to draft. Next up here we have Jacksonville, and I think what Jacksonville does here is, I think they go D-line. I think Tuli Tupatu is going to be their pick out of USC because they do need some help on the defense. I think that helps. Next up, you have the New York Giants. I don't think they're going to go tight end because they have Bellinger. I don't think they go edge rusher here. What I think they do here is they're going to go offensive line and probably interior because they're pretty solid here on the tackles. I think Steve Avila, TCU, I think that is the best pick there because I think they definitely need offensive line help. That helps. And then next up, you have Dallas. Dalton Kincaid is finally going to come off the board. He gets drafted there. They're going to need some more tight ends here because there's definitely a question of Schultz right now, what's happening there. And they probably want another new guy because they want to mix things up here. And I think tight end is one of the places they look to, shake things up. And yeah, I think that's what happens. Next up here, Buffalo. They're going to go here what I think is offensive tackle Jalen Duncan. Because I think it's going to look at see what probably want to develop this guy for year or two. I think that's what they're going to do. Because they definitely, want to look at some things here and try to get better. I think that's a guy they go in and they develop. Next up here with the Bengals, what I'm going to say they do here is going to take Devon Arcane out of Texas A&M. With the whole Joe Mixon situation, it's up in the air, and they probably need a new running back this year. And I think right here, that's their best bet, and I think that is what they take. Is a running back, and I really like Arcane. I think he can do a lot of great things, and I'm interested to see how he really shapes up here. I think he can be very good, though, and I like the idea of picking him for Cincinnati right there. Next up, Carolina, and you know what? Here, I think they're going to go tight end. I think they're going to go Luke Musgrave here. Luke Musgrave, because I think this right now, they need help all over the place. They want to get a new target for the quarterback. And, Anthony Richardson, they just drafted here. And I think that's a good target for them to get. I like what he shows as a tight end. And I think that could be a good pickup for them. And next up here with Philly, what they're going to do here is they are going to draft another guy that's developed here with the D-line. I think that's Kenyu Benton, because I think they do lose Javon Hargrave here in the offseason, so I think that's really going to go with that pick. But yeah, I think that's just really go. Next up here, we have KC, and what they pick is another development player at edge rusher, but they're going to go here with Andre Carter II out of Army. I think that is where they are going to go. And for our last pick of the second round here, and the last one of this mock draft, I'm going to go here with... Here, I think they have they got edge in offensive line and wide receiver here. And I think what they do with this pick is they're gonna get a linebacker here to replace Wilquan Smith here, and I think that's gonna be Noah Scholl out of Oregon. So that's really gonna finish our mock draft here. For our next mock draft, when we get closer here after free agency, we'll go more into some of the later rounds, and this will be a lot more quicker here. Like, I'll just make this go quick. This one's more just like in-depth, like what I think is going to happen the first 2 rounds of the draft. So a lot of big moves here, And just, yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting come draft time, what all we see. Because everything is changing right now. Like, for instance, Baltimore. We don't know where Lamar is going, but he's not probably not going to be in Baltimore. Like, this is a lot of moving pieces right now. So it'll be interesting to see what all happens. But I'm excited to see what happens. I think this is going to be a very eventful, interesting offseason. I think specifically Steelers-wise, because I am a Steelers fan. I think there's going to be a lot of moves and signings. Like, first, like, if you want to hear what Steelers fans, why I didn't do offensive line here, the thing is, what most likely is going to happen here is the main issue they're going to solve is left tackle. And there's some good tackles out there in free agency, and I think the Steelers are going to make a run at, especially Orlando Brown here, first becoming a free agent. I think that's the Steelers make a run at. And I think Deontay Johnson is most likely going to get traded somewhere. Like, honestly, like, I think they would be willing to trade him someplace to get some help. So that's why I'm thinking they're not going that there. But also, the other thing is, too, next year's offensive lineman prospects are supposed to be a lot better than this year's, and this year's is pretty good. But allegedly next year's is even better. And I think, same thing, too, is like, the quarterback hunting teams, they're going to go get their quarterbacks. But I think it'd be better if they go next year for them, because I think next year's a lot more talent in the draft. Like, there's some great talent this year, especially cornerback-wise. Like, I found why there were so many cornerbacks I had selected is because there's so many great cornerbacks this year. But if, like, some business, like, quarterback, like, there's a lot of the big names in college football out there, but there's a lot of questions with them. And I feel like next year there's still a lot of big names, but there's less questions about them transitioning from college football to the NFL, in my opinion. But yeah, no, definitely, I think it's something to be interesting and watch out for. But yeah, I hope you guys liked and enjoyed this mock draft. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, see you guys for the next video.